Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock, which means just one thing.
It's Spiritual Talk Live.
Hi, Jane. Oh, sorry.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Couldn't resist it. Well, first of all, thank you very much for stepping in for Jane. It's
very,
great
very
to have
welcome.
you here.
It's a pleasure. I've missed our Wednesday night chat. You know that we had, and I know I've been on a couple of times before. The scary thing is that picture of me, right? It looks like it was taken about 10 years ago. It was taken less than 6 months ago. Not even probably.
I didn't know if that was your dating profile picture or.
No, I dumped Grindr about 5 years ago. It's fine, you know.
We're not quite over the watershed yet, but.
Well, I never said anything other than what can be Googled, you know. But no, it's an absolute pleasure, and you know, I have been watching. I don't always, as I was saying to you earlier, I don't always comment. I like to listen and see what's going on and keep up to speed with people. But you know, I love the way your show is run. I love the content. I love the people that come on it. So to be asked back to you know, apologize for the last time is absolutely fabulous.
Well, it is a privilege to have you on, Nick, and you've been a great supporter of the program, and you've been on twice. So anybody that have missed the interview with Nick, one was with Anthony because I was poorly, I believe.
You were, yes, you were very poorly at the time.
Yeah, and one in, I believe, was it season 1 or season 2? We've been going for at least 2 years now.
Yeah, I had one in season 1 and one in season 2. So you know, I'm keeping pace, I think, you know.
So Sharon's already found you out, mate, already.
I know. I saw that, bless her. I you know, I wish I was that good, but you know, sometimes I do get stuck for words. It's just that I usually do it when I'm offline.
We also should remind people we are doing a free reading tonight.
Absolutely.
So we're starting off with messages tonight. We're doing a couple of messages between Nick and I, and then we're gonna bring our fabulous guest on in about 15-20 minutes, and we can't wait. She's well, no, I'm not gonna say too much, but honestly, it's well worth the wait, guys. I'm just gonna put the banner up as well. If you share into Facebook, we'll then put you in the hat for a free reading, a free half-hour reading with myself, Jane, or Alice. I actually think it's my turn this week. So, yeah. And Alice, if you're wondering where everyone is, guys, Alice is doing her own show. I believe she's on another live somewhere else. So we wish her the best of luck with that. And Jane can't make it tonight, which is why we have Rev Nick here.
Awesome. I said yes. I said yes.
You did, yeah, you did. I'm just going to copy the link in because on Spiritual Talk, what we do, I mean, you've seen it, mate. We get people in once, hopefully they can understand the contact that we're bringing through. So I'm just going to share that into the comments, mate. Did you want to go first?
Yeah, no problem. I've been seeing the names all running up and down. So still don't have a clue who I'm with, but that's the nature of being live. I don't. It's up to you guys to shout out and let us know that you believe it's your link. And then once we've identified who I'm with, you know, come on down. The price is right, as the universe says. I can confirm, however, what Paul said earlier. When it comes to the guest tonight, you're in for a real treat. So stay tuned. But first off, let's see who we're with. Right, thank you. As I link in, I'm instantly made aware of a receding hairline. I wouldn't say that it was gone, but it was very, very light on top. Oh dear. Don't worry, we've all done it, love. A receding hairline, but not completely gone. So there was a little bit, and it was brushed back. I'm also very much aware that this gentleman, thank you, there was something wrong with his arms around the wrists. So it may have been, it may have been some form of arthritis or something else that restricted his physical movement. I also feel quite nauseous with this gentleman, so I do know that it would have been some cancerous condition from which he passed, unfortunately, bless his heart. But he is very quick to remind me that I'm all right now, of course. I'm all right now, of course. And that the most important part of that is that he was a very upbeat, very positive person. So even towards the end of his life, he was able to make jokes, take the mick. I have been aware of him for the last hour or so, if the truth be told, which is why my sense of humour has probably been on meltdown mode rather than my usual tepid that I try and keep it at. But he was a very, very naughty gentleman with his humour. I do feel fatherly, grandfatherly with this gentleman. And I know that it's either him or the person that I'm with tonight would have had very, very, very blurry eyes. Towards the end of his life, it was him, or with the person who I want to reach out to. Either if it is you, it's a dodgy prescription, the need to replace it. Recently changed glasses, so you're just adjusting. I keep getting that cross-eyed feeling with that. Can anyone out there please understand this gentleman?
Yeah. So, guys, just let us know you can hear us actually, because we've got problems. We've been having problems with Facebook for a while. But we are going into Spiritual Talk Live on YouTube. If you want to jump over, if you recognise the contact Nick has, just if you can comment. If you don't want to come in, you don't have to come in. But just to hear your voice, I was going to say hear your voice. Then you can't from a comment.
See your response is fine too. I'm also and Rhonda can hear fine, so Mum
Awesome.
can hear. Hello, Mum.
Hi, Mum.
Limo went on YouTube, so she's sorted it out.
Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie.
Rhonda, I haven't got any names yet, but I do know that there is some connection with a G name. I don't know what it is because I keep confusing it, because I keep seeing my guide, and I know his name begins with a G, so I'm guessing that there would be a G connection there. I'm not going to go as far as saying his name because I always do that, and I always mess it up. I'm a bit deaf when it comes to spirit. I tend to just speak and the words come out. I feel, and the feelings hopefully go away when I mention them. But I do know that there is something with the dizziness is really, really quite bad. The dizziness and the blurry vision and the cross-eyedness. My glasses feel like they don't belong in my face with this gentleman. I'm also thank you. I'm also getting palpitations. I believe that would have been with this gentleman. And it's really, really weird because I feel like I've got a really rotten, stinking cold with this gentleman. So I know I would have felt really, really blur, wooziness, dizzy, bunged up, sore throat. So he really didn't feel great, but he never gave away, he never really gave away the depth of his pain, is the honest truth. So yeah, can anybody understand that with or without the G?
I'm so sorry if I was smiling. Chrissy put this up.
Chrissy is my Facebook stalker, and I love her dearly. If you think she's bad, you should see her son. He's just worse. But they're brilliant. I love them dearly. So you laugh because I take it all with the upliftment that I hope that it's intended with, even if it isn't really. Right, okay. I've just been called out the name Sue in connection with this gentleman as well. somebody watching was talking about this gentleman in the last week, and thank you, there's something that needs repairing in the house at the moment. Somebody needs to be dabbed with a screwdriver because things keep falling off, because I can see a screwdriver right dangling in front of me as well. Oh, that was a quick buzz down. No, still nobody. Oh dear. Let's see what else I can get. Let me just get rid of all of this sicky feeling with him so he can be a bit more chilled. There's right. Oddly enough, Julie, because he said just look at the screen, and Julie's just said, Julianne Barber just said that she was late. Would you understand a fatherly, grandfatherly figure who would have had some form of cancerous condition, dodgy wrists, going thin on top, naughty sense of humor, really, really hiding his poorliness? So, Julie, would you understand a fatherly, grandfatherly figure who is just like that? And what else did I say? Oh yeah, I feel it's either him or yourself. Problems with the eyes, needing to get really needs to get their eyes checked. You can see we've got the humorous ones following me.
We have. I
I
didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that, my friend.
So, Julie, if you can understand this gentleman in connection with you, because I know he made me look right down and say, just wait, and then you said what you did. So I don't know whether I'm with you.
Yeah,
possibly.
Possibly. Great.
Right. Would you also? I don't know. Once again, whether it's you or he, that would have always had to mop the top of his lip because of condensation. Thank you. He can't say anything seriously. He can't take any kind of physical attribute silly. Would always end up getting a little bit damp on the top lip and would have to wipe it. And he calls it condensation. So I think he would have made up silly names and silly little metaphors for various different physical things. He never said anything physically straight. No, you wouldn't understand that. Oh, great. Okay. There's something about having to do this on my top lip is why I'm getting that. So whether he would have had a moustache or something, but I keep having to do this with my top lip with this gentleman as well. And there's also a lot of writing going around, either with the person that I'm connecting with or to do with him. Something to do with writing. I'm just surrounded by pens. Everywhere I look, I can see a pen laying there. It's so that's what I'm getting with. And I've still got to say that there was something, because my arm is killing me right here. Oh, you can't see it. My arm is killing me right there, so it could have been a heart condition as well.
Yeah.
If not, then I will send him on his way. And
well, do you know the amount of times we've had people that have not been taken, and I've had messages after spiritual talk saying, Paul, I believe that was my dad. I'm sorry, I was running the bath for the little ones. So he'll be there. Is there a message, mate? Is there any kind of message?
Yeah. So actually, it keeps going back to this Sue. So I don't know whether Sue is still on the. Yes, thank you. Sue is. The one thing I was telling people in circle today is if they say something to it, just say it as it is. I don't know whether Sue is on the earth plane. Yes, she is. Okay. This guy had such a really wild sense of humor. Really, we were talking beforehand about humor and sarcasm. This guy was the epitome of it. There's something to do with Sue going on at the moment. that the fears and worries should be eased, the fears and worries should be soothed. Stop worrying, basically, is the message from him. Remember his sense of humor. Remember how he would have handled things. Yes, he wasn't always perfect, but he did like to make light of things and make people feel better. That's his intent and purpose tonight as he comes in. Also, that I'm going back to the pen. There's something that you have to do with a pen right now. You should be doing it right now. This is really, he will be there to support you. He is there to support you. His words were always very, very good. So please make sure that you pick up your pen and do what is right when you write. And that was, he liked to have these silly words. You've got to do what is right when you write. Right as in RIGHT, as opposed to the second one, which is the WR. So do it right when you write. So either make sure you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, or it is the right thing to do, whatever it is you've got planned. But please take his love and support. And should you come online later and see this message and know it's for you, please let me know so that I know that I'm not sitting here talking to myself again, because the doctors chased me down once and I don't want to go through that again. God bless you.
Awesome. Awesome. The pen is mightier than the sword, as Sharon just put. Hi, guys. If you're just joining, it's great that you're with us tonight. We've got a brilliant guest, and we're going to go into our interview now. I know I'm supposed to do one, but Jennifer is in the background, and I would like to get her on ASAP. So we'll do some more messages at the end. So don't worry, I'm not going to get out of it. Okay. And it's going to be a fabulous one tonight. Now, our guest tonight is the wonderful. What wonderful? What did that come from? Wonderful. Okay, it's going to be one of those nights. We have the wonderful Jennifer Rose, medium. Jennifer is an international evidential spiritual medium, trance healer, and channel. She also teaches, and I shared into the group today on Facebook a talk that she did. I believe it was to the inner space. Do you know what? I'm just going to get Jennifer in now. We can ask her. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I was just saying, thank you for joining us. But we shared a talk you did. I believe it was to the inner space group. Is it they called? But you did it for about an hour and a half. There was a talk that you did on everything you do as a medium. And it was really, really interesting. And both Nick and I have watched it. And there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about tonight as well from that very speech that you got. I hope you remember.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. I'm sure.
I think it was the inner space one.
Inner space.
Yeah, it was about an hour. Do you know what? I would say I'll Google it, but I can't. I've had to turn my phone off. Someone naughtily phoned me.
I wish I had seen it earlier. I would have known which one you were talking about. I'm not sure.
We'll find it. It's on the group. Guys, go on to the Facebook group, Spiritual Talk. It's on there. But
Absolutely
Jennifer
is.
Yeah. So welcome to Spiritual Talk.
Thank you.
We always ask our guests, how did your journey start?
Oh, gosh. How did my journey start? Well, I always knew I was intuitive and sensitive. And then when the time came right, my soul just dragged me over into a workshop in a development circle. Here I went. That's pretty much how it started. I just felt a really strong spiritual calling to start doing this work. And I kind of went full throttle on it, and taking in as much information and learning as many things as I could. And everything just kind of fell into place and came from there. But that's the gist of it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to change some settings because you sound a little bit like a Dalek.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone can hear that.
Is that any better?
Yay, there you go.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, much better.
Sometimes I just need to adjust those little AirPods a little bit.
The wonders of modern technology as it is.
I know.
I was just being rather nosy and rather cheeky, and I have had a look. It is the Life After Life at Laguna Woods.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a very good talk on your experience, or from your opinion, on mediumship. And I love the way you broke it down on every aspect and every level. I know, Nick, there was something that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that that was reflected in there, and obviously in your bio, is that your view that we should educate people more on the fact that they are, as I phrase it, so you know I'm going to agree with you if I've got my own version of it,
Mm-hmm.
that we are the living spirit made manifest, and that we should live as much as, you know, work with spirit, because it is our life and our experiences that, you know, strengthens our bond with the world of spirit. And when I saw what you said, I just literally fell. You know, it's like, yeah, finally. What things do you do regarding educating people in that way, of that truth that we are spirit
Yeah.
made manifest?
Yeah, that's probably, if you want to sort of uh, put a container around everything I do, that's what you could kind of call my mission. And then everything
Yeah.
I do is how I accomplish that mission, is to
Yes.
remind people that they are spirit. I've been very fortunate to have gone through a lot of transformation in my own journey, which has taken me from, you know, believing to knowing to without a doubt cannot deny of that. um, Not just from what I've seen around me, but what I've experienced within me and my own connection. And then I've learned that this is something that should hopefully be shared with other people. And that reminder kind of turns on a little bit of a light switch to help start, you know, that spiritual journey for other people as well, to know that. And when you know it, it really is life transforming, and it changes everything for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Know
Completely
thyself.
agree.
That's the comment that you made.
Know thyself.
Know thyself, and you know, there's so many different aspects to what we do, and it all boils down to know thyself.
Yes.
Here.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's good to see someone out there talking about this stuff. It really is, because I think we miss a trick. We only kind of, I've used this analogy a lot of time, that mediumship is just one slice of the loaf. I'll start again. One slice of the loaf is just, you know, the mediumship itself. So I suffered with COVID recently. I kind of feel like I've got brain lag going on. It's still happening. I'm still
I'm sorry.
waiting for it to catch up. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's something that's really good. If I tell people, here we go. We've got some comments coming in from people
Yeah.
already, so we'll share them straight away. If I tell people we're a bit of God, most of them get angry because they believe they are inferior to God and consider it blasphemous.
Yeah.
This is from Lizzie, by the way.
Yeah, I get that a lot as
Yeah.
well. You know, basically, because we were talking about that at Circle. You know, we are all a little spark of God, but there are certain religious groups and ways of life that will tell you that that's absolutely wrong. That we are so far below that it's not possible to, you know, accept that. What would be
Yeah.
your answer to that, Jennifer?
Oh, okay. Well, if I were to sort of not get an exact quote, but from the
No.
Bible is saying that we are all made in the image of God. If I remember that one, that's a little helpful. Jesus, you have the whole kingdom within you. Everything you need is within you. I mean, that's pretty much where know thyself comes from. And then our spiritual connection. There's too many synchronicities and signs that happen to us, and where does that love come from? We're part of it. We're made from it. And how can that be wrong? I just don't see how that can be wrong, to remind us that we're all made from that love. I personally just can't believe we're just cut off and separate from that which made us. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I love this
Yeah.
woman. I love this woman.
Thank
Really
you.
do. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Now, a lot of our viewers are kind of really interested in mediumship. They're developing themselves in all different aspects.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to ask you is to talk a little bit about your trance experience and your journey in trance.
Okay.
And what is that for you? What is your, who you work with? Are you aware of who you work with? Do you have that connection with your guides?
Yes. So I started learning trance pretty early on, along with my mediumship development. I was very lucky to be kind of doing healing and learning about trance and learning about physical mediumship sort of all at once and all at the same time, and it all kind of came together. But over time, I've been developing it, learned to blend deeper and deeper and deeper with spirit. I do have one main guide that I work with. Most of the time, occasionally, another communicator will come through. But I absolutely love working in that way. And that also is what that particular helper of mine is sharing and always reminding people. So in every message that he gives, even though they're all a little bit different and the subject changes a little bit, that reminder, that you are so deeply loved, that you are spirit, that spirit sees you in your most, beautiful, perfect self, comes through each time as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rachel's just said here, just coming back on a little point that we said, hi guys, I think it's difficult for some to understand that we all come from the same divine source, one unity consciousness. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't know what you think, Jennifer, and you indeed as well, Paul. One great gift we have is free will. But unfortunately, that can also sometimes be the cause of the problem for me, because there's that sense of ownership, isn't there?
Yeah.
People want to own that free will rather than accepting, well, if I've got free will, that means the person next to me's got free will. They're allowed to have their thoughts and feelings. And when groups of people that are really can be quite negative come together, that really can be the driving force for pushing away that understanding of the oneness and the unity. We're united by our differences, not separated by it. But people like to divide. I always say the greatest thing about humans is that we build communities, but unfortunately those communities start arguing amongst themselves. What would your view on how to? I know this is a big one, and if it was easy, but what would your view on fixing that be?
Oh, that's a good question. We could talk for an hour on that one. I guess what I would offer is that let's perhaps look at it as maybe both. As free. Yes, we have choices. Yes, the spirit world absolutely encourages for us to take personal responsibility, because that's why they come through with apologies all the time, because they've learned about that personal responsibility and they want us to exercise that while we're here, because we might not always have a medium to do it for us once we've gone to the other side and gone, oh, I see how everything is now, but there is divine intervention, there is miracles, there is guides, so I think there's a limit to how much we think we can do as an individual personality, because there is that higher source that can come in and change things around and kind of move the chess pieces. We are all mediums, so we've seen like, oh wow, the things are getting moved around before our eyes, and look how this has all come together. And so we know there's also a higher force that's part of the scene as well. And many times those of us who have gone through really hard times in life and a lot of transformation, we realize we're not always the one driving the bus like we think we are. That can be a bit of an illusion to think we're doing it all the time. But we are also that oneness as well. So it's kind of both. I think of it as a rainbow, and each of us has our own little color in the rainbow, but we're still part of the rainbow, and the spirit world and the physical world aren't like two separate things with all the space in between. They're connected, and they're having a dance with each other. So it's just kind of a way of looking at it and having a perspective on that as well too. And the division is challenging, because I think we're all people who like to bring people together, and we've all seen that even in the spiritual community there's a lot of competition and and a lot of arguing and different views on how things should be and what we should believe, and that's really challenging. But I guess we could say, well, the challenges also can reflect back on us to do more know thyself work. Okay, they're the challenger. What can we learn for ourselves with this? Can we learn more inclusiveness? Can we learn maybe to listen to other people's perspective? or can we learn to really stand in our own power and our own truth as well? So there's mine.
Fabulous. No, I totally agree.
Actually,
Totally agree.
but guys, there is something I wanted to say off that point you mentioned about when people come through once they've passed into spirit, about personal responsibility. And a lot of people do have this sorry. But do you think it's more about the soul and evidence of the person that you're sitting with? So it's for them, they understand that process. You know, is there, I mean, once we pass into the spirit world, my understanding is we become more omnipresent, we become more, our consciousness expands, we understand the reason why we was incarnated, the journey, etc., etc. But for the person here who the message is for, I think there's more to it than just a simple sorry. I think it literally comes back to an evidential point of view. I don't actually believe that. Is that soul generally sorry? Is it a part of that path that the soul, the person here that's had a difficult in-laws, you know, they could have signed up to that? Do you believe that? Do you think it's more nuanced than just having that?
I think it's kind of both, because I do believe there's some kind of big life review that happens when we go, you know, crossover. In my own transformation, I've had kind of a life review of my own, so I've kind of gotten to see sort of what that looks like and how that feels. And but you're right, when you go over to the other side, you see the big picture, you see the why of everything and how, okay, this happened, so this person can learn this, and this happened to me, so I can learn this. You know, we usually come to a point where we look back on our lives and go, those things were really hard, but they made me who I am, and I've become the strong person that I am because of those challengers and challengings that we've had in life. But yes, it is an incredible gift to give that sorry and to take that responsibility, because I think that the soul and the personality of the soul can kind of do a little dance itself of back and forth, because a lot of times when we're making that connection, we're feeling into their personality, and it feels like very much like they're right here as their personality, but the healed version. But then they can show us that really higher soul presence of themselves as well, so that both of those sort of present at the same time. But it is incredibly healing for the person receiving to get that apology for them.
Of course.
It's amazing, because a lot of times clients, they're, oh, I've done all the forgiveness work. I've forgiven them. I totally understand that person had a hard life. And I'm like, but they really just want to say they're sorry to you once again. And the eyes well up. They feel it in their heart. So there's something magic in that too, because I just see it. I feel it. There's something that shifts for them. And it's not just a personal shift, but a spiritual shift within them of growing into that more love awareness, as my people like to say, you know, more love awareness, of getting more there. And that healing that happens enables them to live a better life and be happier, and also give more to others as well.
Yeah, we got a great question from Sharon, by the way.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, I love it. I'd just like to add, before we do move on to that question, everyone can see it so that they can be considering their thoughts. I've always believed that it's better to deal with our issues as much as we can here before we hit the review. So if we can review our life and get support and guidance and suggestion from the world of spirit to help that journey, all well and better. For me, so which kind of leads on to, you know, the whole viewpoint of several spiritual ways of thinking, and that would be Sharon's question: do you believe in reincarnation, in particular human to animals?
Ooh, okay. So here's my take on reincarnation. If we're going to look at reincarnation, I like to look at it from a very big, expanded point of view. I think a lot of us think of it in terms of a little bit of I go here and then I come back, and then I go here and then I come back, almost like I'm recycling myself, but then I have the memory of my other lifetimes. And to me, that doesn't feel quite expansive enough, because you could call it, you know, the God self or the oversoul or the grand whatever kid is always expanding and can always create more consciousness of itself, right? And more personalities of itself as well. So I do believe we can be connected to other lifetimes. But this lifetime that we have is our own, and we get to keep it when we go over there. That's why we are able to connect mediumistically and even go back generations at times. So
Can I keep you?
happy? So
yeah,
some people they go into past life meditations or hypnosis, and a lot of people are connecting to the same figure, you know, especially if it maybe is a higher presence figure in history, and the multiple people are saying, I'm feeling I'm like connected to Jesus, or I'm feeling like I'm connected to Mary or Cleopatra or something. So why is that? Because it's all part of the big grand consciousness, and we can connect to any of it. So we really could potentially connect to anything that's in there, and it is still us because of the oneness.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
there's probably going to be certain ones that are more meaningful for us to help us understand ourselves as well.
Yeah, we've got some great questions flying in off that.
yeah. And if I may just add to that, Jennifer,
Yeah.
I absolutely find you brilliant, because I've been having this conversation for the last few weeks with various different people, and I asked myself, my friends and helpers, and they said, you of course consider that when you are in the world of spirit, you don't necessarily have something physical to view as your past life. And of course, it takes a lot of spirit people to help someone in their lifetime. So it's possible that those that you are closer connected to, you are actually helping from the world of spirit as guide and group and helper. And so it is another, I believe it's another perspective on, we see things as very black and white. It doesn't have to be. That word that you said, that is the minute that I absolutely went head over heels. Nuanced, much more nuanced and subtle than that. So
Yeah.
thank you from me personally. You know, I know everyone's really jumping on this one because it always is a good one to ask. So Paul, my love, bring it up. Let's
Okay, there's a load coming in. So first of all, Serena's asked a fantastic question. Does the soul always heal on the other side?
Yeah. I just did a big yes. Just a big yes.
Brilliant.
So, okay. My question off that, and then why does the soul repeat the patterns if we believe in reincarnation? You find a lot of people repeat certain patterns through reincarnation, I've found. They'll go through and do certain things until they've got the lesson. And I find that a strange one when you hear certain stories about people. There's a couple of great authors out there. I've done a lot of research into life after death and reincarnation, etc. And there's been people talking about how they've had to come back again and again and again to learn similar lessons. So that's where it kind of flummoxed me a little bit. Is there any truth in that? Do you think that's, you know, this is where I get a bit open-ended with this kind of thing, because I think there's a misconception about the soul, the higher self, the ego, and how that all comes together, the mechanics of it, you know, which it being in a physical, living a human experience, and we're here for a reason, to learn and to grow. But therefore, if we're going to go back to spirit, there's got to be some kind of disassociation from our true self, or else we wouldn't keep coming back. There has to be a logic to it. Why do we keep repeating the same patterns? And more and more lessons. I mean, I've had this conversation with my guides, and I've asked, why are we here? What is the whole point of reincarnation? Why do we come to this life? And they simply put it, it's literally all about love. All its different forms and different nuances and dynamics, every relationship that you have, it all comes back to love, which, you know, I'm not so sure. This is where, for myself, I'm still on this journey of trying to self-discover. How about you? How do you feel about that whole process?
Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah,
That was
it's just there's so many questions that bounce off that.
okay.
We've got so many people asking questions.
Yeah. So when I'm hearing that, and I want to remember, I want to respect everybody else's, perspective and opinion,
Yeah,
because there is really no wrong or right. Once we start looking as wrong or right, then we get into the black and white thinking of it all. But um, when I hear like I didn't learn my lesson, so I have to come back and do it again, almost like I failed, and so now I have to. It's like getting sent back to first grade and having to do it all over. Like
yeah,
I'm not. That doesn't feel quite right for me to say like I failed and now I've got to repeat. What if we're just building on what we already have done? What if we're just evolving and just keep moving a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and think of it more as evolution versus as you're being punished, you gotta go back again because you screwed it up. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a hard thing. I do think it does all come to love, but like you said, that's a whole spectrum. That's an
absolutely.
infinite spectrum of different ways you can do it. So the patterns may be the same, the content won't be. There's going to be different characters in the story. This is a bit of a stage in this physical reality. We're playing all the different characters, the hero, the villain, the supporting characters, and all of the different archetypes and so forth. So, if a challenger in our life, or somebody who's harmed us, has helped us to become more knowing of ourselves and more powerful in ourselves, a lot of times we go back and go, yeah, I didn't like what you did, but I'm kind of thankful because I'm more empowered in myself now. So then you start to kind of, that gets a little confusing, right, for the mind a little bit, right? So that's the part of like things happening for a reason and things having a purpose for us too. And that's a hard one to grasp, because you have to do that in a really container of compassion, compassion and understanding, and say it's kind of a little of all of this wrapped into one. They're all different ways of looking at it, and they're all valid.
Yeah. One of the people I was going to quote was Edgar Cayce. He was the first, I believe, medium to do Akashic record readings.
Mm-hmm.
And he had ideas around people being reincarnated with a disability because they'd done something wrong in a past life. Now, I don't subscribe to that at all. So there's so many different ideas in terms of how the process works once we pass into the spirit world. You look at the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the Dying, and is it 12 phases they go through in when the ego separates from the soul. There's so many different philosophies around the world, spiritual beliefs and ideas about this whole process. And I find it really difficult, even as a medium, to understand fully the whole process. People look to us for answers, but we're still having this human experience as a medium. And as much as I have an opinion, Nick has a different opinion, and Jennifer, I'm sure you have your own opinion. So to come back to Serena, I'm not sure. Is my answer to, does the soul?
That's a good answer.
And there is, if I may put my 10p worth in as well. Once again, we as a way of life use many different words, but we also use the same words to mean different things. For example, when you look at the human as an entity, you've got the physical, you've got the spiritual. If you could subscribe to a historic understanding, the soul is the bit in between. So it's a spiritual representation of the physical. So the soul is what others would describe as something else. In this way of life, we tend to interchange, many people tend to interchange the spirit and the soul as the same thing, but it isn't. So we then have to be aware that we're explaining that. And Paul, what you said is absolutely right. We all have our own take on these things, but even though we're the ones that we're supposed to be giving people the answers, we don't have all the answers. And I think personally, it's really, really important that we remind everybody that we are as much stuck on this journey. We're not We're not instantly plugged into the Akashic records or any kind of, instant access indexer. We'll try our best and do what we can, but we are still learning these concepts. I mean, my view on reincarnation has changed over the last 25 years based on what my spirit friends have told me about it. I will be perfectly honest. When I first came into this way of life, I was completely anti because of the influences I had. No, it can't be right, can't be real, doesn't have. That spiritists think of reincarnation, spiritualists do not, because that's what I had been taught by history. But as I've actually, grown up and talked to people and got over myself, I've come to see those nuances and those differences. And it is a wonderful, we should just take glory and joy in the wonderful different possibilities rather than be focused so much on that which separates us. Focus on that which connects us, because believe you me, even though all three of us may have a different perspective on that truth, what we agree on is actually more than what we don't agree on. So if we focus on the bits we agree on, that's we know that is closer to the truth. And that way we can move things forward. I personally believe, from what I've learned in the way that the soul will always heal on the other side. But we all know from our own experiences, we just get over one problem and something else comes up. So maybe that's where it comes in. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I just thought I'd throw that one in. I know my 10 pence worth usually costs about 50 quid, but I can't help it sometimes.
Okay. It's okay. James has put, if I have to apologize for everything bad I've ever done, it's going to be a long walk to heaven.
Bless you. I don't believe that for a second, James. Yeah. You're a lovely bloke.
Yeah, we did warn you, Jennifer, didn't we, about the English sense of humor? So bear with us. All right.
It's probably impossible to apologize for every mistake we've ever made. But that's the beauty of the forgiveness that we get when we from spirit. Spirit's very forgiving for an understanding, and absolutely. I think that's where a lot of the healing comes in.
Yeah. Okay, so Carol's asked a really good question. Can you change things for the better if you look at the Akashic records? Sort of a point it in the right direction. I want to add on to that, Jennifer. Do you believe in the Akashic records, or do you believe the Akashic records is more of a soul, more of a human concept of a library, and the actual information that we hold is within the soul itself? So when Edgar Casey was tuning into Akashic records, he was actually connecting to the soul. I mean, it's just a little view of mine. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
Yeah, really great questions. And one thing I wanted to say, like, about Edgar Casey, because with all of the channelings and all of the trance mediumships, there's going to be a certain level of perspective in those as well. So maybe not every message is like the 100% answer for everything. And what I've learned too is a lot of channeled work is coded. And that means look deeper, read between the lines, see the other meanings that are behind the words, because a lot of times you could read it one time and get this meaning from it. Fast forward, read it again, or listen to it again and get another meaning from it that's very different from what you got before, based on your different level of experience and sort of where you are with your higher self as you're taking in that information together. So it's always good to look deeper. Is there more meanings, more subtle meanings that are sort of like hidden between the lines and things like that. So it's that's part of the journey of introspection and does that make sense?
Yeah,
that's one thing I just wanted to offer. So with the Akashic records and all of the lifetimes, it is all part of that one great consciousness, and because are connected to that, why not be able to access it? But we have to name it something too. We have to, that helps us to understand, sort of what that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So talking about, I know we're going off topic a little bit, talking about channeled work, is there anything that inspires you that you've listened to from people that channel information?
Well, I like all of it.
Okay.
I really do. I like all of it. I know in the spiritualist community, it seems like a little bit like sometimes we run in two camps. Like in the spiritual community, it's very, very geared into sort of philosophy. And then sometimes when you get into like other communities, you might see more things like of another dimension or, things like that, or, ETs and those kinds of things coming through. And I can say, why can't it be all of that? Why can't God express himself in a multitude of ways, because I always say we talk about creating your reality. God's the most creative one imaginable that there is. So why wouldn't the Great Spirit want to express itself in a whole lot of ways that different that we can all connect with and enjoy and be a part of? So
See, I'd like to know your understanding of how it all began. Do you believe our God is localized, or is it with outside of the universe? Do you think our God or the universe itself is God? The consciousness, the connectedness is God. I'd like to know your point of view on that. Sorry, that's a really deep question for 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And are you in California? Are you in California, Jennifer? So I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's lunchtime, and I'm asking you a really deep question about your idea around God.
That's a really good. I would be happy to answer that. I think everything is consciousness, and we're beyond the universe. So when I say beyond the universe, I mean beyond the material, beyond light, beyond energy, beyond frequency, beyond all of where it's even bigger than that. And that's a little hard to wrap our brain around, but it's like, I'm getting chills as I say that. It's just that magnificent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been listening to too many cosmologists recently. They're talking about who created the creator, who created this existence, and we could go on and on and on, turn ourselves inside out.
But isn't that really a very physically based question? Because we recognize that we perceive everything in a way that we have to perceive it to understand it. For example, going to the Akashic Records. I've sent many a student of circles and demonstrations, including myself when I go there, on a trip to a great library that's the Hall of Records, and you can access it by picking up. We know that there's not really a library with books on the shelf in the world of spirit. It's an understanding that we have to make it accessible for our physically limited brain, because we are physically limited. We can't understand. I mean, we still use the figure of eight to represent infinity. All that is repetition, not infinity, at the end of it. Yeah. But it's the best we can do.
Yeah.
And so, your point, Paul, you're absolutely right. But we as physical beings need that focus.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we should just say, so what? It is just something beyond our understanding. We've tried to represent it the best way we can. But the more we go deeper and deeper, it's like a rabbit hole, isn't it? Who created the creator? Where was the creator? My granddad taught me the ultimate question when I was 12. So I've had plenty of time to think about this. If God created everything, what was he standing on when he created it? And I spent my whole life thinking about that question. In the end, I just turned round. It was only a few months before he passed. I said, oh, by the way, that question, there was nothing to stand on because God wasn't physical. And he just smiled at me, because sometimes we need to understand things too much. Do you think?
That's a human trait, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of who we are. We need to conceptualize everything so we can have a faith or belief system. We need to have something to grasp, to buy into it, if that makes sense. We've always done that. It's a human necessity or a need. So, oh my gosh, we've been forgetting about the audience. Hello, guys.
Sorry, everybody. To be fair, I've been keeping an eye on some of the comments. And Carol, yes, as far as what was said earlier, I totally agree. That really is important for you. Bless your heart. Jennifer said something that really, really touched Carol, I know. And that's as far as I'm going into it. But it really, really was great. There's so many people touched by everything that's been discussed. Is there anything, Jennifer, that really gets on your goat where, because people apparently tell me for some reason when something's really close to my heart, I get on my high horse and, you know, don't spit it all out, Paul. Is there anything that really gets you on your high horse, really rolls you up and you feel the need to, you know, just sermonize everything like I do, apparently?
Oh, oh gosh. Let me think about that for just, you know, it's interesting because I do have a wide perspective of understanding things, you know, and so I'm able to see the bigger picture to, you know, so if I'm going through something in my life, I can still kind of see the picture and know like, okay, there's a bigger story that's being told here. I'm just not being allowed to see it right now or understand it because we're, you know, it's unfolding as we go, right? And so there's that part of us that I like to say knows the whole plan, and then there's us, our personality that doesn't know the whole plan. And so that's where it gets really frustrating because like I really like to know the whole plan on this because it's not making a whole lot of sense too. But you know, I'm a humanitarian as well, and you know, it's always hard to see suffering. It's always hard to see people in pain and going through difficult things, and we all do the best we can in our own little part to try to make it better that we can. And I just hope that over time we can work together so that more people, preferably everyone, can just feel seen and heard and understood, because that, you know, talk what we are talking about before, we go on this big journey of knowledge, but when you break it down, you know, and there's those times in life where everything's, you know, gotten so hard that we're kind of stripped away of all of that, and we're just like, we all just want to be loved and love someone else and feel understood and feel seen and heard, you know. And that's kind of like what it all boils down to. So if we can give that gift to other people, you know, it's a huge blessing that we can give. If we can hold other people's hands when, you know, they're having a rough time, because we're all going to go through the darkness, we're all going to go through the light. It's just not this type of reality where it's all one, where, you know, we're just all, you, like you can stay in the light all the time. You're going to kind of go back and forth, as you guys were saying. You know, once you get over one thing, then another one comes in that path, right? But if we can help each other through those times, you know, it just makes a big difference. So that's what I feel is just let us all matter. You know, everyone should matter, and everyone should feel, I hope, you know, everyone, I hope, you know, should feel that they're important, you know, and that they're loved. That's important. And it's kind of what it all boils down to at the end. I get emotional, you know, so with that too.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just quickly looking through some of the questions that we've missed most of. I do apologize. One here from Chrissy. Does everyone go to heaven? Because I do believe we are living in hell sometimes. Do you believe that there is, I mean, talk about, you know, you hear people, some people are rescue mediums. Do you believe, I believe there's another question on here. Do you believe that people get stuck when they passed? You know, when someone commits suicide, you know, some people believe they're in limbo. Do you believe in that process? Do you believe that person's gone over?
Yeah, you know, and I want to be really respectful to other mediums that maybe have a different belief system with that too. Personally, I do not. I just don't think anyone's going to get abandoned. You know, why do we have our helpers? Why do we have our loved ones? Why God itself is going to abandon itself? Like everybody gets to, you know, experience that great love that, you know, get to experience, you know, that oneness of love, which I think all of us, when we've been sitting in the power, you know, have had those transcendental moments where we're feeling that, you know, extreme love and understanding. I just don't see why anyone would get left behind. It doesn't make sense for me when we have all of these helpers around us too. So that's where I fit in that. However, I know that's an experience that is very real for people. So what I'm just going to offer is, what could we learn from that experience? What's being exercised in that experience? Because when I look at a soul not crossed over. I'm seeing somebody who's invisible, can't be seen, can't be heard, needs help to be seen and heard so that they can feel better, go to the light. So could that be representative of what we could be doing here in the physical reality? Helping people feel seen, helping people be heard so that they can feel and see their own light. It's another way of doing it. It's kind of a reflection. So that's just what I'm going to offer as food for thought to just consider. Yeah. So I think everybody gets to go to heaven, but certainly in this reality, we have the light and the dark. It's duality. It is. It's not easy, but it is.
So I want to kind of talk a little bit about that fourth dimensional stuff that people talk about, and I want to take away a little bit of that fear that people have about demons, demonic stuff, and I think it's really important that we educate people and people understand that there really is nothing to be afraid of. Now, is it about perspective? I know people that forgive me for using this as an example, people that are depressed, they can attract, like attracts like. It's a vibrational energy, that world that we live in. So it's the negative energy. It's not a demon. It's not a demonic force. It's who we are. It's a reflection of self. So by releasing that and changing who we are as people, and that's a difficult thing, a journey of self-healing, that we change and release that. And that's my personal belief. How about you guys?
I've really got to come in with this because as a Christian spiritualist, another type of spiritualist, as a Christian spiritualist, I get this thrown at me all the time because of the Christian side. I remind people that scripture was decided 300 years after the fact. I also remind people that it was another 1200 years before the current version of the Bible was compiled, and it has been rewritten and edited and tweaked and books taken out. And one of the books that was taken out and turned into what is an apocryphal book, in other words, it's just a story, don't listen to it, is the story of the Gospel of Nicodemus, which is actually a telling of this period in the Christian calendar, the Easter calendar. So you've got the 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, then you've got the Last Supper, and then you've got the crucifixion. What the Gospel of Nicodemus says is that during the time between crucifixion, death, and resurrection, Jesus actually went down to the dark, he never called it hell, went down to the dark places of the earth to bust the locks and close down hell, and said, you don't belong here. You've been told you do, but you don't. Basically, get your backsides out of here and up there. We are ingrained in our lives so much that we are not worthy by people using religion as control. People are told you are not worthy, you are not righteous, you are not great, this is the place you are going. We are afraid to go to that light because we might get punished for something that we accidentally did, when we were half asleep one day.
But that's about perspective, though, isn't it? About the mental perspective, the ego of the person and the vibration and the energy they're feeling at that time.
Absolutely.
That dark place.
Exactly. So what that story was telling us is that we make the hell.
Yeah.
We stop ourselves from advancing because of the fear that is ingrained into us by others. And so therefore I always use that as an example to say there is no such thing as hell. And if you want to go by scripture, 2000 years ago, a bloke bust the locks on that prison. And when is a prison not a prison? When it's got no locks. There is no hell. It's just something that we feel forced into by other people's opinions of us. And that is where the people have to come in and say, here's your grandmother, here's your aunt. They want to take you to the light. It's safe, it's good. We shouldn't have to be doing that because people are forcing us to be afraid of what's coming, which is why I had to jump on that, because you're absolutely right. There is nothing to fear. There is only what we would perceive as light on the other side. We get stuck because we are told that we're bad. We're not. The original sin was not a sin. It was taking of free will. And that's a whole different kettle of fish that I'm not going to open tonight because you'll never shut me up. But no, I don't. Even as a Christian spiritualist, I take the Gospel of Nicodemus as a good example to say that there should not be, and there is not, any form of hell.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I'd like to know your opinion as well on this, Jennifer. Did you know what you were signing up for when you came on stage?
Well, it would have been very different before he got me along, to be fair, you know, gobby one that I
am. No, we love it. We love it, Nick.
I do agree with you, both of you. I don't believe there is a hell. One thing I'm just going to add to the discussion, because I agree with everything that both of you have said, just to add to the discussion, is that in many traditions, the Catholic traditions with the saints, the priests and the nuns, they've all gone through, you know, well, not all of them, many have gone through spiritual darkness. The mystics, the shamans, they might call it the initiation, and there's this sort of traveling to the underworld and things like that. So when people are going through spiritual transformation, there is a journey that's happening. It's sort of an Alice in Wonderland type of journey that's happening with the higher self in a psychic reality, where you're sort of you're having a bridge of something in the psychic reality. And it doesn't make it real. It just makes the experience real to teach you something. So it doesn't mean there's actually anything evil happening. It means you're witnessing it. And it's also, you're learning who you are as a spiritual being. In other words, you're coming more into your understanding of your non-separate self. So that's one thing that helps, I think, to understand. There was a gentleman I saw being interviewed on a spiritual channel a long time ago, and he had you know, unpleasant visitations from dark spirits or entities through much of his life, from a young boy into his young adulthood. And he said, eventually I just learned to wrap my arms around them and give them all of this love, and then they went away.
Absolutely.
And the interviewer said, well, and I'm getting chills as I say this because I love telling the story. The interviewer said, well, who were they then? And he goes, I've come to believe they were just manifestations of my higher self to teach me about that unconditional love, I can't remember which medium it was, but one of the pioneer mediums of the day believed a lot of our spirit helpers can be manifestations of a higher self as well. So that's where it sort of ties into the reincarnation. We're all connected to all of it in the end. But we're, you know, the spirit world and the heaven is a realm of oneness, and here we're in the realm of moreness, the duality of it all, the light and the dark, right? But all is forgiven in the end. I can't see, where do we draw the line of who gets forgiven and who doesn't? You know, when you start to look at the picture, it's a great movie, especially since you're a Christian spiritualist, called The Shack, where the gentleman, a very horrible thing happens in his family, and then he has a mystical experience. And you know, and when he goes into the cave and meets what's this? Was she the spirit of judgment or wisdom? She was the spirit of wisdom. And they have this conversation about judgment because of where you draw the line, because you find out the person who hurt you has been hurt, and the person who hurt them has been hurt. And so it's a difficult thing. It doesn't mean we have to say, oh, you know, it doesn't mean you can't be angry or you can't feel the pain of your experiences and other people's experience. I certainly feel the pain of mine, and I certainly feel the pain of others, but there can be that understanding sort of at the same time. So there you go.
What a great story. Great story.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a great story.
I see a lot of people have been mentioning the line about let he who is without sin cast the first stone at her. I did a meme of that a few weeks ago, where I'd got the quote and all of the fancy text and everything, and just in pen font had written, which just means no one gets to throw stones. I didn't put it as politely as that, but we're live, so I better behave myself. But yeah, it was literally it means don't throw stones. And you're absolutely right. If I have to admit, I love the fact that you set your sights really, really high, Jennifer. When you were talking earlier and said, you know, we need to get more people to understand this, preferably everyone. And absolutely, yeah, completely.
Thank you.
Completely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just asking for Rhonda asked a really great question earlier. If I can find it. Okay. This is for both of you guys in your experience. Do you think that the soul leaves the body before we actually die? This is what I've heard recently. Now, I've heard some people say, well, that they were head on and they were gone instantly. They didn't feel any pain. Do you believe in this? Or, for example, I've heard people that have been in coma that have picked up the soul when the person was in coma. Have you had any experience of that?
You want me to take that one?
Yes, please. Yeah,
It's a good one.
you are the guest, Jennifer. So, yeah.
I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was Gordon Higginson who told the story of him looking into an elevator, and he could see that everyone looked kind of gray, and that elevator was about to crash. And so he knew something had happened prior to that happening. And this is where we get into going, kind of tying it back in, wrapping it up back into trance too, is we are always shifting our in awareness. That's why we have dreams, why we daydream, why we can go into trance, why we, drive somewhere and forget how we got there. We go into altered states of consciousness really quite frequently, and we just don't even know we're doing it. We're always having these like subtle and then more intentional shifts when we're doing, work, mediumistic work too. So why wouldn't, the great spirit or whoever is helping us try to make, a difficult experience less difficult by kind of, dampening down our awareness so that it's an easier, transition, over in the spirit, especially during difficult types of passings as well. That makes sense that, and we see with people who are in hospice, they're reaching out for spirits. They're very connected. People with dementia kind of seem like they're going in and out and in and out and in and out.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's not just like cut off, like there's this something right in between the two. We're doing this a lot, so it's interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Agree.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up both of those things, because you're absolutely right. It was Gordon, and I'm glad you mentioned.
You should actually say, Nick, how you know that as well.
No.
No. Okay. We'll tell you afterwards, Jennifer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work with a friend, and that's all I need to. Those who know. That's it. But the thing about dementia is I had an actual experience with someone with dementia.
Okay.
And I had been sat in circle that afternoon, and my guide had come up to me and given me something as basically a battery backup. And he put this ball of light just here to help me if I ever needed it, if I felt tired, use that to increase your light, my dear boy. So, did circle, went to see my granddad, and there was this lovely lady who was, at the home he was at, and she had dementia. And she come walking down the stairs, and she made a beeline straight for me. And I went, oh, okay. And she went, don't you? Everyone here thinks I'm nuts. Everyone here thinks I talk to myself. I'm not nuts because you talk to them just as much as I do. And she looked straight at my chest, and she moved her finger to the left, and she pointed at it, and she says, "You're looking tired already, boy. You want to make use of that now."
Wow.
And the way my guide explained it to me was that if there is a condition of the brain, it is not the mind. The mind is protected. The soul is protected. So he referred to it as a bus pass. We mediums, we have to earn and pay for our ticket to the spirit world to connect halfway. But anyone with a physical condition who has the potential to suffer is given a day bus pass where they can go and get away from the physical and be in the love and be in the light and be in the peace of those that love them, to ease the burden on the soul when the body isn't as great. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. And
absolutely. There is some people that believe that Van Gogh was having that out of body experiences.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
And the swirls of energy was what he was actually picking up, not part of his imagination. And it's interesting, a lot of people that have had near-death experiences relate to those swirls they've seen in the sky. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, that's a big one, that one. Okay, we've still got millions of questions. I'm so sorry, guys. It's so enjoyable. We are getting close to the end now. And poor Jennifer, I'm sure you probably need coffee and maybe something a little bit stronger after our conversation.
I love this stuff.
Absolutely fantastic. And I honestly, here's one from Mary. Mary's, I have been privileged to be with many people as they pass. I have witnessed so much I cannot rationally explain. Yeah, that's beautiful, Mary. And I always think there's a fear of death, isn't there? You know, we really fear death. And as Woody Allen said, I don't fear death. I just don't want to be there when I die.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. So let me ask you, Jennifer, we won't, you know, you've been here for well over an hour now. What's next for you?
Oh gosh. in the short term or the long term?
Yeah, well, kind of where do you see yourself going? Have you got any projects coming up? What are you doing next? There's a lot of stuff. You've done quite a bit all over. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on Facebook. People can I'll just put the banner up there. They can contact you on Facebook and check out your Instagram page and also your website, which I'll quickly put up now. There we go. It's the website address.
Thank you. You know, I have a lot of hopes and dreams in life that I've just kind of worked, you know, a little step by step. I actually would love to get my own YouTube channel up. So it's something that I've got in the ethers and do some writing as well. So I'd like to do that. And, you know, continue teaching, continue speaking, and continue working. I love demonstrating. It's one of my most favorite things, getting to demonstrate that, you know, that life is eternal. That's a big deal for me. And just kind of keep going with my mission and seeing what I can do more to help humanity too. So that I hope that all of, you know, that what I do now will have a bigger impact, you know, down the road. So that's what I'm working towards. So I run a Sunday service once a month, and it's a very loving thing that we've put together with my little angel team that we work with. And we always like find different charities that we can donate some of the donations to. And so that's really fun to do. So I love doing everything, and I just want to keep doing it more and bigger.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Is that online or not your service?
Yeah, it's a Zoom service.
How do we find that? Would it be linked on your page?
Yeah, it needs to be updated because I just had one. So as soon as I'll get it updated. And yep, we have a lovely regular following. So I know I'm doing everything right. It's spirit service, and I just kind of follow directions, and it works best that way.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And Carol, last comment from Carol.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
It's been a very interesting evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been absolutely brilliant. But this is the bit where we say goodbye, and I kind of have to open the. Have you ever seen the Graham Norton show, The Red Chair? And I know Nick. It's kind of like the Graham. If you check out the Graham Norton show with the red chair at the end, the audience come on and tell a story, but they kind of disappear off screen. It kind of feels like that. We do that to our guests. Okay.
See, I know that you have been on the show before, but you have not been in the red chair.
No, that's it. Absolutely. It's well worth watching just for the red chair moment.
It is funny.
It's really funny. So check out the Graham Norton show. So on behalf of myself and Nick and everybody involved in Spiritual Talk, we can't thank you enough for coming on and being a guest.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoyed the opportunity. I feel the love, and I feel all the beautiful vibe that you have. And I love talking about this stuff. So you made my day. So I'm really appreciative. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, take care, Jennifer. Thank you so much. This is where the red chair comes in. Bye for now. Bye for now.
Such
it's
a
so brutal.
privilege talking to Jennifer. I could,
It was.
well, you know what I'm like. I could talk to her all day and all night and still have, you know, more questions. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for inviting me to talk to her, because, you know, it would have been one of those nights where my thumbs were broken, you know, by the end of it. Because I would have had to have chipped in. So, you know, wonderful, wonderful. Brilliant. Fabulous.
Yeah. But before we start into messages though, Nick, you are the founder of the Independent Spiritualist Alliance. Can I ask you a little bit of a question about, now I remember being at the church and you got a message about the Alliance. And I was told by the Spirit that you was doing the right thing and going the right way. And you were kind of rewriting the book of what you were doing.
Yes.
So to have that endorsement from the spirit world was a really powerful thing for me. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing before we start on message?
Well, the ISA has now been going literally this month. Literally 5 days ago, it had its official 1 year anniversary. So the whole purpose and the ideal behind the Alliance is exactly what Jennifer was actually saying, to be fair. You know, we like everybody to get the idea, preferably everybody. The problem with, you know, we have to be very brutally honest sometimes when we look at our life, when we look at our associations, and when we look at our ways of life. We have to be brutally honest and recognize that there are sometimes issues. One of the biggest issues in this way of life is that it can be very fragmented. Certainly, as a Christian spiritualist, there are certain organizations within this way of life that I'm not allowed to join, let alone would not feel comfortable joining. You know, which is a shame. So the whole purpose and point behind the Independent Spiritualist Alliance was to create a loose, and I do mean loose, organizational umbrella where everyone could come together in common cause and intent to, you know, preach the truth of spirit. And, you know, I hate the word preach, so, you know, I only say that as a joke, everyone who doesn't know me. But it's the ability to come together as one,
but
and
that's
focus
really,
on those.
That's really important though, because and we need to engage the younger generation.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the problem with the spiritualists, not just every religion out there, really. We're not engaging the younger generation. And I think, you know, what you're doing is brilliant.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the younger generation is important. I mean, I was at one point the young generation. I was frowned upon by various different mediums in this way of life that now, you know, crawl a certain place when I'm around, but probably say negative things about me when my back is turned. Because I was 18 when I started chairing and developing. I was considered too young to be doing all that sort of thing. But, you know, 25 years on, I'm 45, well, 25 years of development on. I'm in my 40s now, you know. I'm no spring chicken as I was back then. We need to continually refresh and refresh and refresh. I mean, if you want to go down the route of the youth, we've mentioned him once or twice before tonight. Gordon Higginson started sitting in development circle at the age of 3 because his mum couldn't get anyone to babysit. You know, so, and he was considered one of the greatest mediums of our time, you know. So we need to nurture and educate and bring in and make feel welcome the young people, but we also need to make feel welcome everybody. That was the whole point behind the Independent Spiritualist Alliance, that Christian spiritualists, spiritualists, Jewish spiritualists, New Age spiritualists, pagan spiritualists, whatever spiritualists, young, old, male, female, and everything in between could come together in common cause to just be lovely spiritual people, to enjoy mediumship, to discuss philosophy, to debate what happens to us in an open and clear environment where we call it an umbrella organization where each church maintains sovereign rights to run its own way. So we say that we are a part of the same group, and so long as we represent the ideals of the Alliance, then we are part of that group, and you just get left alone to run your own church your own way. The one church that I visit in the Alliance frequently is obviously my own. The second most is the church that belongs to Reverend Barbara Price, because it's the closest. There's another one that's being, worked together with some lovely people who I consider family. They're not officially part of the Alliance, but I consider it an Alliance church because they're my family, my friends.
Yeah.
And that is the whole point of the Alliance, to not have so much. I mean, I am accused of setting too many rules, because I have got the original 10 principles that were the things. Look, people say that the 7 principles of spiritualism were given to Emma Hardinge Britten by Spirit.
Yes.
They were not. It is well documented that she did not write those principles, and neither did Spirit at that time. Once again, it's all about the basic truth behind our history, and we should be aware of it. She had 4, then she had 6, then she had 8, and it ended up as her 10 spiritual creeds. Over time, yes, mediums and spirit have worked together to make it simpler and boil it down. But the problem when you do that is you lose some of the important stuff.
Yeah.
And so the ISA has adopted not just the 7 principles, but her 10 original creeds as well, so that we can see where we came from. Yes, I slightly reworded it, made it a little bit more modern English, because there were a lot of these, thys, thous, and theirs, but that was Victorian England for you.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the roots of the 7 principles in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking them. They're really, really good. But we also need to remember that when we're saying the 7 principles as given to Emma Hardinge Britten, they are not the principles she was given. She had 10. They were lovely, and they were the birth of the 7 principles. So we've adopted them and called it her creed, like she called it. But I get accused of setting up a religion and setting up a creed. No, that's what one of the founders of this Ways of Life called it. I'm just repeating what she said. Yeah. So, it's a little bit about going back to our roots, but also looking forward and trying to update things in a way that is open and available for everyone. As I call the ISA the Benidorm of the Spiritualist Society, because it is all inclusive. And the advisory council of bishops is a very varied group of people, and all of our members are a very varied group of people. And it's just like Jennifer said earlier, we are a rainbow, and everyone's got their own little shades and colors, and the more colors we add to it, the better. And that's the whole purpose of the Alliance. So so everyone can go and feel included. Realistically, when it comes to spiritualism, is that really too much to ask?
Yeah.
And so that's why we did what we did a year ago.
Yeah, and it's a good move forward. My only issue would be is the relevance of some of the principles to today's society, and I'm only judging that on. I almost feel that the younger generation are kind of being dumbed down by electronics, and everything is instant pleasure, instant gratification. So to literally feel into some of the principles and sit and understand some of the teachings and ideas that are coming from Spirit, which is why I personally believe some of the messages from Spirit are changing.
Yes,
they're changing the way they work to try to get the influence of Spirit into people, become aware of their own spirituality, to kind of trigger them on their own personal journey. So I'm kind of in that devil and deep blue sea, ideas around the principles, because I keep asking Spirit, is this the way forward? Because I want you to create a spiritual, how many mediums have sat there and said, oh, I'd love to create my own spiritual holistic well-being center. Yeah, of course. But for me, it's about connecting people and becoming more of a community minded, which, I know you do that already. You're very community minded, because you're going, Little Port goes live on a Thursday as well.
Yes. So Thursdays, we do our live services. I've got one of the workshops coming up at the Village Hall, which isn't online, but I've got a workshop on Sunday. There are still places available if you're local. Then Friday afternoon, we've got the 2 revs, me and One of the other founders of the Alliance, Reverend Tony, we do a philosophy chat. We don't do any messages on that one. So we've got a lot going on, you know, in our various different locations, as well as, you know, centrally, if you want to call this as a bit of a headquarters. I suppose it's, you know, something like that, but I don't consider it to be, because we're everywhere, as we should be.
You're on SPTV as well, mate.
I am, co-host with the lovely Dawn Collinson Quarry. She's my spiritual wife. We've spiritually married each other, you know, in a platonic sort of way. We'd been working together months before we actually physically met. And so, 11 o'clock on Monday mornings, we're on SPTV doing the Brighten Your Day. We kind of peg it as a bit of a this morning for spiritualists. So it's a magazine show with people coming on doing various different things. So we have a right royal ruckus time with that. I would just come back on the principles. You're absolutely right, and I agree with you. When I wrote the 7 principles, didn't feel required, as you know, certain groups don't allow me to be a member of them anyway. I didn't feel at liberty to stick exactly to the 7 principles as written. So the first thing I did was the parental love of God and the kinship of the human family. It might not sound much of a change, but when we talk about the fatherhood of God, it's that very masculine, same old based. The brotherhood of man, again, very masculine, same old. Just by changing it to the parental love of God, it's identifying that parental atmosphere without saying it's mum or dad. And the kinship of the human family, you know, regardless of what people's opinions are. I will say, of course, being a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, I've seen some real nasty horror stories. So I fight this corner. Regardless of the brotherhood of man excluding women, there's a whole plethora of people who would feel excluded by that statement. So I called it the kinship, because we are kins. We are kin. You know, we are kin, Paul, spiritually. And so I have updated the wording on the 7 principles for the Alliance as well. And it's subtle little things like that that will make, hopefully, a little bit of a difference. Is it the ultimate answer? No, completely not. You're right. We always have to be progressing and growing. So I totally agree with you. Yeah,
mate. We need to get on with a few messages.
Yes. I'll be getting in trouble.
So we've kind of gone on. We've been going for an hour and a half. Guys, let's ask the audience, shall we? Let's put it to the audience. Guys, do you want messages, or do you want to go? Do you want to go to bed with your Horlicks, or would you like a couple of messages? Nick has a panto coming on.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Last Friday, it was decided that we would do a spiritualist panto. It's going to be called Carry On Spirit. Or Carry On Psychic. We are working on that. I've even got a friend getting oiled up to bang the gong at the beginning as well, but that's another story for another day. And I think it's unequivocally messages, to be fair.
It is, yeah. People are putting their words in, guys. We got to work. So Carol has kindly reminded me that I've forgotten to pick a winner. Or normally we ask the guest, but Nick is also our guest tonight. So, mate, I'll get you to pick a winner from people that have shared. Okay,
right.
So not yet.
Right. Okay.
Not yet. We'll keep on waiting.
Okay.
We'll keep them wanting. Always keep them wanting more. Okay. Here we go. Shall I go, mate? Shall I go?
Yeah, you go this time.
Okay, I'm trying to get rid of that comment on there from you. I'm just going to quickly share the link into that, guys. So if you recognize the contacts coming through, I always do this. I always say I've got no one here yet, and then suddenly, bang, in they come. I know I'm very much aware of your guide, to be honest, mate. I've felt him a few times around you.
I thought you might.
And I am an avid fan of his. So, and he's one of the reasons that pushes me to be the best that I can try possibly to be. And if I can be half as good as what he was, I'd be a very happy man. So,
feeling.
and some of you would know who this person is. So, okay. And others, you've got a few others going on there, mate, as well. You've got a lot with you tonight. So I'm trying not to tune into you, because also your father, and I was very much aware of your father behind you before we started tonight. So he's also, I always seem to pick your father. Twice I've been to Littleport. Was it 3 times now? And I've picked him up a few times.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm at Littleport on the 29th of June.
Good old mum. Good old mum. Well done. We couldn't decide what the date was earlier, mum. So thank you. Well done. I will just say what you wouldn't necessarily know, Paul, is that it was Dad's birthday 5 days ago. So thank you.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to work with this. Now, I've got quite a few, actually. First of all, okay. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. I've got a gentleman that comes in. I know he would have passed on a motorbike, and I know he would have loved speed. I know, given this is evidential, I know there was a chest issue. He was crushed. I don't need to go into too deep and how he passed away. Let's just say it was the accident on the motorbike. Okay. Also, he's trying to give me the name Rich or Richie or Richard that's connected to him as well. I know. I feel like his dad as well. I feel like he has siblings, children, as well. Oh, okay. I know he would have passed away fairly quickly at the scene of the accident. I'm very much aware of this. Also, it sounds like Robbie or Robert he's trying to give me as well. Robbie or Robert that's connected to him as well. I know there was some talk. Okay. So there's somebody recently been talking about okay, and I know there's an anniversary or birthday coming up for him. He's also talking about the name Lynn as well. Lynn that connects to him. I can take that, Paul. Okay.
Yeah.
So forgive me, this gentleman would how can I say, live life in the fast lane. You know, very capable man. But also there was two sides to him. You know, he just needed to let steam off and let rip, and the bike would have been one of his ways of doing that. I also know he was carrying a burden, in his own words, a weight of responsibility on his shoulders before he passed. Okay, brother-in-law, and I can take Richard and Robert. Okay. And I've really got to say, this gentleman's energy is a really a gentle giant is how I want to give his energy over. If you understand this gentleman, I'd love to get you in to hear your voice, to recognize your vibration and help us to give you a stronger connection. Here we go. We've got the link. Paul Bannister Medium, Sparkle of Light Spiritual Medium. There's the link. Jane Dance Medium on YouTube, and Spiritual Talk Live on YouTube. We'd love you to come in. Would you understand the name Lynn as well? So I've got two here. Can take that. Okay, Jordan, please feel free to jump in, and we'll see how far this goes. Also, I know where he used to live. There's a lot of twisty lanes and roads. It would go out and really let rip on the bike. It was his way of letting go. I know there was also some kind of personal argument within the family before his passing. I do believe let bygones be bygones. He's talking about this. And it's interesting, we talked about this tonight as well, about the spirits that wanting the urge to say the sorry, the forgiveness, and I love you. So there's a lot of that coming in with this contact with this gentleman. I also believe can you feel that, Nick, with me?
Yeah.
Because there's more than one, isn't there? I've got two here. There's two gentlemen that come in alongside me. Mum can take this also. Okay. Jordan, did you want to come in? There's also a thing about bounty and coconut. The coconut bounty. Now, I love chocolate. Everyone who knows me knows that I love chocolate. Okay, and it's given me this taste of bounty and coconut. I would love this coconut as well. I mean, who does like bounties? Not me. That is the last thing I would pick off the shelf. But he's given me also the April birthday, Jordan. Would you understand the April birthday? Also the 18th as well that he's trying to connect with as well. Also, it sounds like Karina or the Karina as well that connects to him. No, it's not. It's Carrington. I'm so sorry. The Carrington. He's trying to give me the name Carrington. And Carol Phillips says, I did. Oh, yeah. I'm
bounty.
It means the bounty.
Bounty.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next time I see you, Carol, I'll buy you a bounty. Okay, Jordan, can you come in? It'll be lovely to hear your voice. We want to try and get as many messages as we can tonight, so we need you guys to be quick. Because I want to leave his love and his apology that comes in with it. I know this man, again, he gives me the energy of being a gentle giant as well.
Yes.
Okay, not sure. We're a bit hit and not sure if he can hear me. Brother-in-law can take the Richard. Okay, can take that, Paul. Okay, I'm not sure.
I think you are with Jordan. It's just probably she doesn't want to come on screen, to be fair.
Yeah. How you doing, mate? Can you come on or not? It's fine. If not, can I just leave his love with you? Because we want to try and get through a couple. That'd be really. Jordan's here. There was always that little bit of lag in between.
Yeah, there is. To be
His
fair.
device is not connected. They will need to connect their mic cam before they can add them to the stream. So you need to just connect your bits and pieces. Sounds rude, doesn't it? We're after the watershed, so we can get away with it.
I'm still not showing you my grinder picture, though.
Oh, mate, there's no way I can go with that. There's
I know.
It's clean.
Why do you think I'm not wearing the collar tonight, though? The gloves. It's never the gloves are off, the collar's off.
Okay. That's it. Okay. All right, John. I'm going to leave this then. Mum can take that also. Okay. I'm going to leave his love with you. Okay. Messages keep popping up on here. Okay. I'll leave his love with you because I kind of feel like I'm in the Pennines. I'm in that area, Derbyshire, out on the bike. I feel there was a roadside intervention with medics, etc., and professionals, and it would have done everything to try and save a man's life. Won't let me gain access. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, Jordan. Okay, can I just leave his love? I know it sounds strange. It's not something he would normally say, but like we were talking about tonight, once you're in that realm of the spirit, you will feel the love, and that's exactly what is extending to you and your family. So please take his love, mate. Over to you.
Thank you. Yes. I would just say I did pick up on. I was very much aware of the top of his head, and he actually he had this naughty sense of humor as well, because he said, "Well, it's where they put my halo, so we're all better now." Really, really lovely guy. That I could see you as having a really good time with him. So, the final message can take everything, though. Yeah. That's the thing. So well done, mate. Right, I have a lady here who is bringing me to order. She is not happy with me, so I've got to behave myself. I keep adjusting my jacket. She's not happy that I'm wearing, just a jacket. I should be all rigged up. So this was a lady of great formality. She has the hello. She has this.
That was my squeaky chair, I think, man. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. No, that's fine. That's fine. No, it was the same time as something else came in. It was a bit strange. Okay. That was just bad timing on my part. My timing is rubbish. So yeah, this lady, there is this element of school mom of. She was perceived as being a little bit hoity-toity, a little bit stern, but actually she's another one with a good sense of humour if you knew her. Only if you knew her. You had to be very careful if she wasn't one of your associates. If she didn't know you very well, she was very formal, very straightforward. But this lady who's coming through, I'm very much aware of this strength of personality, this seriousness, would have been the public image, not the personal one. She had a beautiful smile, really, really toothy. Her cheeks her cheeks made her smile. It's like her smile hung off her cheeks. And she says, oh, my whole body hung off my cheekbones. I love that one. Anyone who's watched Absolutely Fabulous would know that that one's from that. They use that one in my head an awful lot to show these really big cheekbones, really lovely cheekbones. Her hair was always perfect, so it's another criticism I'm getting. Thank you very much, darling.
She's actually trying to sort your curtains out. She would have been a very particular woman. She's trying to sort your curtains out so they hang just so. There's something not quite right with one of the pleats. She's telling me
it's because there's a keyboard underneath it, you see, so it leans forward.
And
I do.
She wouldn't have been able to rest with that. That's the thing.
No, absolutely not. And I'm with her. I'm feeling as though she survived something pretty major for some amount of time, but I do feel as though part of her body was removed. That is the way she will word it to me and give me no more, because she was a very private woman, very serious woman. And, certainly, that if I can't keep the curtains right, I'm certainly not trusted to be, knowing private personal stuff. That's the kind of lady she is. I do feel as though I am a mother. I would go as far as say aunt, but I don't feel grandmotherly. I feel it's the mother generation. And I know that I have got these really piercing eyes with this lady. Can anyone understand?
She's she's definitely a mother. She's given me the information. She's a mother, mate. Absolutely. She's looking for her daughter.
There is someone on here who would be very deeply offended if she was referred to. I'm with you now. Someone on here would refer to her as a hyacinth bouquet lady.
I didn't.
Would always be careful, because she would be deeply offended by that.
Yeah, but that is exactly what came to my mind.
Yeah. So it's very much this hyacinth. Mum was always dressed well. Would you understand that there was an operation before her passing, and I do feel like part of her was removed to save her life. This is really important because she defied odds with this. I feel, at least for an amount of time, she defied the odds, and it just feels as though but not.
It wasn't a part of her passing.
No. I certainly think she would have survived. I believe, if I didn't, I apologise. I'm sure I said she would have survived this. So if you misunderstood that, I do apologise. But no, it wouldn't have taken her, because she defied the odds. She defied the odds. Was the important part. If I may work with you a second, would you understand, Deborah? What is that? Okay. I feel that she's showing me it must be you, because I feel like I'm standing in a tornado or a hurricane. I just feel like everything's going nuts around me, and it's really, really hard to keep track of things. And she would have been the person that would have been able to have helped you when these things happen with you. And I feel that there's a bit of a whirlwind, a bit of a hurricane going around you at the moment in your life. And she was the one that you leaned on for the structure, she's saying. Thank you. She was the structural one. She was the procedural one. She would have been the one who would have clicked her fingers, and the world was afraid of her in that way. She would have clicked her fingers and the whirlwind would have stopped. It felt like that. But what she's saying is she experienced this herself too. And it was practice. And you are, in many ways, a chip off the old block with all of the positive stuff. And she was very quick to make sure I say that. Just make sure you say it's only the positive stuff, dear. And she, I was getting a real ticking off and making sure that I didn't say that first, actually. But she wants you to know that you have got everything you need. You have got everything you need. Plus, if I can come... Thanks. If I can come through him, I can come through anybody. I'm still about. I'm still sorting things out. And it's this real strength of character that she's got, really, really wanting you to remind you that you are more than capable. You are more than capable, because I gave you everything you need. I gave you everything you need. And I don't know whether it's you. I think it is actually the way it's coming through. But there's just this sometimes inability to breathe. I don't know whether it's emotional or physical. This just sudden feeling of, being real, tight chested and clamped up, and not able to express the air, let alone your feelings. But she would have never, ever, ever left you without what you need. So please take her absolute unconditional strength and support. Thank you, darling. Thank you. So, go forward with the encouragement that she is watching over you, running her finger down the mantelpiece and the cupboards and all that sort of thing. That she's running around with you, just it's not just my curtains that are the problem, but with yours, it's the pattern. All this sort of stuff, the fun as much as the strength. Please take her love, and I'll say God bless you, Deborah.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Shame, guys can't come into that, but we are kind of going beyond the power. It's almost 10 o'clock.
It is,
so guys. Okay, thank you, Deborah's. Okay, thank you. Okay. Mum's not passed long, has she, Deborah? I remember this contact come before. Mum's not long been in the spirit world, and I believe I've brought her through before, Deborah, haven't I? Lovely reads. Okay, have we got time for one more, guys, in June? Okay. Shed, thank you, Rhonda. Nick, we do need you to pick a winner.
Yes, I need to pick a winner. So I literally go up the list and find somebody who shared. Yes.
Yeah, please. And I'm going to bring one more through.
Yeah, I'll pick a winner while you do your read.
Great. Okay, thanks, Wanda. Lots of people saying shared. I'm going to do quickly one more. Oh, I've lost that now. I need to get rid of that comment. Okay. Now I have got a difficult one here. I've got a child coming in from the spirit world, but I've also got what feels like there's have to get a difficult one to finish on. There's a child coming through from the spirit world, but I don't believe, it's just really strange. I do believe the child had some kind of either mental handicap, which is a really old-fashioned term, some kind of disability. Okay. I know there's a grandmother in the spirit world with him, but I know I've got a young man. He wouldn't have. I feel he would have been around the very oldest, 14, when he passed into the spirit world. Actually, the more I feel into this, the more it's interesting, isn't it? When we come away from the physical body, we lose the physical. But I'm being told there was some kind of cystic fibrosis. There was some kind of disability with this child handicap. I don't like that word handicap, but it would have been considered a handicap in the day. Okay, there was some kind of not cerebral palsy, a cystic fibrosis with this child. I know this child struggled in life. I know there was a lot of time that this child would have been in bed, and there would have been a lot of difficulty from parents looking after this child. There would have been a lot of intervention, though I do know this has been some time since this child has passed. And I really want to come through. I believe somebody on here is listening. That if the parents are not on here, someone very close to the parents are listening. I know. The bedroom was a beautiful space for this child. The parents did everything they could. I also know, because I know cystic fibrosis is to do with the lungs, but I believe there was some kind of physical handicap as well. There was some kind of physical disability with this child as well. There wasn't the mobility of normal. I'm also getting the name Danny or Daniel. with this that connects. I also believe, thank you. I also believe that there was some, thank you. There was some talk of the child going into a hospice, but I believe the child died at home on the parents' wishes. The parent went into the spirit world. There is also, it sounds like a Thomas as well that connects to this. I'm not sure if that's brother, but there's a Thomas that he's given me. And it's not, grandmother's not saying anything. It's the young man that's talking. And he would be, I do believe he would be in his 30s at least now. Does this speak any bells to you, Nick? Because you're looking at me like you might know something about this.
It rings a bell, but the lad himself would still be alive, but his father is in the world of spirit.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not seeing. I'm seeing this information about this child.
Yeah.
Would you understand this child loved balloons as well?
Yes.
Loves balloons, and particularly red balloons for some strange reason.
And I will just say, actually, it's been a number of years since I've seen him, so it could be that, that I don't know the full.
Would you know the parents?
Yes, I do, and yes, I will.
Thank you. All right, I'll stop there then, because no one's coming in and taking him. Bless him.
Yeah, the red balloon does mean something, because I gave it to him in one of the giveaways at my shop that I worked at.
I was just about to say, would you understand the Chatteris connection, Cambridge?
Yes, I would. Yes, because Chatteris was one of the places that I actually worked.
Right.
And you wouldn't have known that because I haven't worked there in about 15 years. So yes,
there is a connection to this. There's also the name Darren they're trying to give me as well. Danny or Darren. I know it's Daniel. There's a Danny or Darren as well that connects.
Yeah, Darren would connect with that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I know. Oh, see, I keep hearing this saying to this child, "Good night, God bless" to this child. Being called sweetheart a lot, and I believe that was from Mum being said, "Good night, God bless." And as I connect to it, you honestly, if you're not failed to feel the love, if you fail to feel the love, it's impossible. The power and the love that comes through this contact is amazing. Yeah. And then we talk about learning and spiritual growth and the soul learning. This particular soul chose its path, and it's a very beautiful soul. So whoever this soul touched in their life would have really, they would have been the lesson for us.
Absolutely. If it is, and I genuinely believe it is because of the detail. And like I said, I've been gone for 15 years. He was a hugger. He was a hugger, and they were proper hugs. And everyone in the shop would get in a queue to actually give him a goodbye hug when he'd been in.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Forgive me because he's talking at me as I'm getting. He's really excited as well. He's really quite excited. Would you also understand there was issues with saliva?
Yes.
Okay, that might be to do with the cystic fibrosis, but there was issues with saliva he's talking about. He has none of that now.
No,
none of that. And there's something about the sticky lollies, the round sticky lollies sticking to his face, and he was trying to lick them. Okay, I'll leave his love with you.
Thank you.
I believe there is some kind of there's something been done for him. There was something special done for him.
I will find out and let you know, because I still got friends over there.
Okay, there's been money that's been raised for him. And there's also, oh my gosh, he's talking about the young man that died of, there was somebody that had testicular cancer that used to play football as well. He's talking about.
Yes, that was in Chatteris too.
Yeah, and he's talking about he's over there with him.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Right, and
it's a very, very tight-knit community.
Yeah. And there was a football match to raise money for him. All right, I could go on and go on, but people have probably gone into their drinking their Horlicks and gone into their under the duvet.
Absolutely.
And mate, it's been fantastic. We can't thank you enough for coming on tonight.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Just to make sure one person does get a final answer to a question. Rhonda, yes, I do. Rev Nick Brown, com. That's my website, but I'm on Facebook, and you can find me there. You know, I do a lot more on Facebook than I do on website. To be fair,
we'll get you back on as well.
Yeah, lovely.
We'll get you back
Wonderful.
on. We'd love that.
Fabulous.
Come and be part of the team. All right.
Lovely.
All right, everyone. We'll be back this time next week. We are, I believe we've got Alice back in the hot seat with me. So we look forward to that. So, guys, have a good weekend, and we will see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.
Oh, by the way, 1 second.
Oh, the winner.
Well done.
You know, I'm literally holding the finger on a button.
And I'd written it down as well. The winner is Jackie Vag.
Oh, congratulations, Jackie. You've run a half hour with me. Okay. I don't know if Jackie's ever won. So that's great news. Well, I've never read for you, Jackie, so it'll be a privilege. Get in contact with me and we'll arrange a date. All right, everyone. We are definitely going now because we're now
on
the 2 hour mark.
I know.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.